Imagine standing at the helm of an empire, commanding armies, shaping nations, and rewriting the course of history. What drives such a person? What psychological forces fuel their ambition, resilience, and ultimate downfall? Napoleon Bonaparte, one of history's most enigmatic figures, offers a fascinating case study in the psychology of power, ambition, and human complexity. By the end of this journey, you'll uncover the psychological truths behind Napoleon's rise and fall, and the final revelation may change how you view leadership, ambition, and the human condition. His life, a blend of meteoric success and catastrophic failure, serves as a mirror, reflecting not only the heights of human potential, but also the fragility of ego and the dangers of hubris. Through his story, we confront timeless questions about identity, purpose, and the cost of greatness. Napoleon's psychology cannot be disentangled from his origins. Born in 1769 on Corsica, an island caught between Italian and French cultural tides, he grew up in a family of minor nobility, struggling for relevance. His father's political maneuvering secured him a place at France's prestigious École Militaire, where he faced scorn as a provincial outsider. This early sense of alienation, paired with his mother's stoic mantra, "A man's worth is measured by his will," forged a psyche driven to prove itself. Alfred Adler's theory of compensation, the idea that individuals overcome feelings of inferiority through achievement, fits Napoleon's trajectory perfectly. His relentless ambition may have been an attempt to silence the voices of those who dismissed him as a Corsican upstart. Yet Napoleon's ambition was not merely reactive, it was also visionary. He devoured Enlightenment texts, idolizing figures like Rousseau and Voltaire, and dreamed of reshaping Europe into a rational, meritocratic order. His famous quote, "I closed the gulf of anarchy and brought order out of chaos," reveals his self-perception as a bringer of stability, a man who saw himself as both a product of the French Revolution and its ultimate tamer. Psychologists might frame this as a messiah complex, the belief in one's destiny to save or transform society. Napoleon's work ethic bordered on obsession. He governed France with a micromanager's precision, drafting laws, reviewing troop deployments, and even designing uniforms. His ability to process information was legendary. He could recite the status of every battalion in his army and quote passages from Roman military treatises. Modern cognitive scientists might attribute this to fluid intelligence, the capacity to solve novel problems, combined with a photographic memory. Yet his discipline was also a coping mechanism. By structuring every detail of his environment, he exerted control over a world that had once rejected him. His military strategies, such as the maneuver sur le derrière, outflanking enemies to disrupt supply lines, reveal a mind that thrived on chaos. He famously said, "Plans are nothing, planning is everything," emphasizing adaptability over rigidity. This aligns with psychologist Carl Jung's concept of a growth mindset, the belief that skills can be honed through effort. Napoleon's willingness to revise tactics mid-battle, as seen in his Italian campaigns, showcased a flexibility that bewildered his opponents. But control had its dark side. His insistence on centralizing power stifled dissent and bred sycophancy. By 1810, he had dismissed advisors who challenged him, surrounding himself with yes-men. Historian Adam Zamoyski notes that Napoleon's court became an echo chamber, reinforcing his belief in his own infallibility, a psychological trap known today as groupthink. Napoleon's downfall offers a masterclass in the psychology of hubris. His invasion of Russia in 1812, a campaign that cost nearly 500,000 lives, was driven by a toxic blend of overconfidence and desperation. He ignored logistical realities, convinced that Moscow's capture would force Tsar Alexander to capitulate. When the Russians retreated and burned their own cities, leaving his army stranded in winter. Napoleon faced what psychologist Irving Janis termed cognitive dissonance, the mental strain of holding contradictory beliefs. He could not reconcile his self-image as a strategic genius with the reality of his miscalculations. Carl Jung's shadow theory illuminates this unraveling. Napoleon's shadow, the repressed fear of inadequacy, manifested in grandiose projects like the disastrous continental system, an embargo meant to cripple Britain that instead isolated France. His quote, "Power is my mistress," betrays a transactional view of relationships, reducing alliances to tools of dominance. By 1814, even his marshals turned against him, exhausted by endless wars. His resilience during exile on Elba, where he reformed the island's infrastructure and plotted his return, reveals a man addicted to purpose. Psychologist Viktor Frankl's will to meaning resonates here. Napoleon could endure hardship only when striving toward a goal. Yet his final gamble at Waterloo, fought with outdated tactics against a coalition that had learned his methods, underscores the peril of clinging to past glories. "Never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake," he once advised, a maxim he failed to heed himself. Napoleon's psychological contradictions are etched into his legacy. The Napoleonic Code abolished feudal privileges and enshrined meritocracy. Yet he crowned himself emperor, reviving the pomp of monarchy. He promoted secular education, but bargained with the Catholic Church to consolidate power. Philosopher Isaiah Berlin called him a hedgehog, a leader with one central vision, blind to nuance. His reforms modernized Europe, but his wars killed millions. Philosopher Hannah Arendt's analysis of totalitarianism offers a chilling lens. Napoleon's belief in destiny, "I am the revolution," he declared, mirrors the totalitarian leader's claim to embody history itself. Yet he was also a pragmatist. His relationship with Josephine, fraught with jealousy and passion, humanizes him. Letters to her reveal vulnerability. "You are far away, and I am tormented." This duality, tyrant and lover, reformer and conqueror, defies easy categorization. Napoleon's psychology holds timeless lessons. His rise underscores the power of grit, Angela Duckworth, and deliberate practice, Anders Ericsson, traits essential for mastery. His fall warns of the hubris syndrome identified by David Owen, a condition where power inflates self-worth and clouds judgment. Modern leaders, from CEOs to politicians, mirror his strengths and flaws, visionary ambition paired with ethical blind spots. His quote, "History is a set of lies agreed upon," challenges us to question narratives of success and failure. Was he a hero or a villain? The answer lies in the eye of the beholder. But his psychological journey, from outsider to emperor to prisoner, reveals universal truths. Ambition without empathy corrodes, resilience without adaptability falters, and power without self-awareness destroys. Napoleon's story is not just history. It is a parable of the human psyche. His ambition mirrors our own yearning for significance. His resilience reflects our capacity to endure. His hubris warns of the price of unchecked desire. In the end, his greatest quote may be the simplest. "Glory is fleeting, but obscurity is forever." It is a reminder that legacy, like identity, is fragile, a lesson etched not in stone, but in the shadows of our own ambitions. The abyss Napoleon faced was not the battlefield, but the chasm between his limitless aspirations and the finite reality of human existence. How we navigate our own abysses, whether through humility, empathy, or self-deception, determines whether we build empires of meaning or monuments to ego. Napoleon's psychology, in all its brilliance and brokenness, is ultimately a reflection of our own. Even his final years in exile on St. Helena dictating memoirs to rewrite his legacy, reveal a mind unable to relinquish control. He curated his narrative with the precision of a novelist, casting himself as a tragic hero undone by betrayal and fate. "What is a throne?" he mused, "a piece of wood covered in velvet." This disillusionment speaks to a deeper truth, the emptiness of external validation. Psychologist Erich Fromm's theory of escape from freedom, the idea that humans often flee the burden of autonomy into systems of control, finds resonance here. Napoleon, having clawed his way to autonomy, spent his life constructing systems to escape its weight. His psychological arc, from craving power to being imprisoned by it, mirrors the paradox of modern ambition. Consider, too, his relationship with time. Napoleon lived with a sense of urgency, as if racing against mortality. "I may lose a battle, but I shall never lose a minute," he declared, embodying a mindset psychologists now link to time anxiety, the fear of wasted potential. This drive fueled his achievements, but left little room for reflection or connection. His marriages, alliances, and even paternal bonds were secondary to his quest for legacy. Psychologist Robert J. Lifton's concept of symbolic immortality, the desire to live on through impact, explains Napoleon's fixation on reshaping Europe. Yet, in his final days, he confessed, "I have only one passion, one mistress, France. I sleep with her. She has never failed me." This admission, romantic yet tragic, underscores the loneliness of a man who sacrificed intimacy for ideology. Napoleon's psychology also invites us to examine the role of charisma. His ability to inspire loyalty bordered on the supernatural. Soldiers followed him into certain death, chanting "Vive l'Empereur" with cult-like fervor. Modern studies on charismatic leadership, like those by sociologist Max Weber, describe this as a blend of personal magnetism and perceived destiny. Napoleon cultivated this aura deliberately, staging grand ceremonies and crafting propagandistic art. Yet charisma, Weber warns, is unstable. It demands perpetual success. When defeats mounted, Napoleon's myth eroded, revealing the fragility of authority built on spectacle rather than substance. His legacy also forces us to grapple with moral ambiguity. Was the Napoleonic Code, a blueprint for modern legal systems, worth the millions of lives lost in his wars? Can progress born of tyranny ever be justified? Philosopher John Stuart Mill's utilitarianism, weighing actions by their consequences, offers no easy answers. Napoleon himself seemed conflicted. "I love power as a musician loves his violin," he said, acknowledging his obsession while romanticizing it. This duality, visionary and destroyer, haunts every leader who justifies cruelty in the name of progress. In the end, Napoleon's psychology is a mosaic of contradictions: brilliance and blindness, courage and cowardice, idealism and cynicism. His life reminds us that greatness and folly are often two sides of the same coin. "The people to fear are not those who disagree with you," he warned, "but those who disagree with you and are too cowardly to let you know." This insight into human nature, the danger of silence and complicity, remains eerily relevant. His story challenges us to ask, what abysses lurk within us? What shadows might we confront or succumb to in our own quests for meaning? Napoleon's answer, etched in his rise and fall, is as unsettling as it is illuminating. The only victory that matters is the one over oneself. Yet even he, the master of empires, could not fully claim that victory.